Bible character is Moses, because when first God came to him with his job, he was hesitant at first and claimed that he didn't even know what words to speak. But he did it anyways. I feel as if Moses' story helps the reader understand that no matter your ability, you should always trust God with whatever job he has given you, whether it's speaking in front of others or parting the Red Sea.
One of my favorite characters in the Bible is Job, because even though he went through all he went through, he never turned from God. And a verse to go along with that is Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and the man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil.
My favorite Bible character is Jesus Christ, just because of the way he loved and cared for others no matter if they did the same for him, and how he loved others no matter their past or who they were, and how he treated everyone equal, even if some other people didn't think they deserved to be treated equal, he did. And my Bible verse to describe his love was John 15, verse 13. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends.
So my favorite Bible character is Job. The reason Job is my favorite Bible character is because he remained faithful to the rough storm he was going through. So basically, Job lost everything. He lost all 10 of his kids. He lost land he owned, and his wife told him to give up on everything and, just to give up because he had nothing to live for anymore. But Job remained faithful through that all, and God blessed him again with kids and more land, and everything started working out for him again. So basically, if we remain faithful through the storm we're going through, God will bless us again.
One of my favorite characters in the Bible is Ruth. Ruth was a model of loving kindness. She cared about the well-being of others. Clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Colossians 3:12.
Yes, thank you for taking time to share your favorite person from the Bible, or one of your favorite people from the Bible. So Josephine chose Moses, Emmy and Allie chose Job, Alexis chose Ruth, Neely chose Jesus, and Gracelyn chose Paul. All very important people in the Bible with stories behind them. People love a good story. All right, Josephine shared Moses. Moses was an orphan, that rose to power, led the people of Israel to the promised land. Job, a man of great hardship. You can't think of anybody else that's ever suffered anything more than Job. He stuck with God, prospered at the end of it. Ruth, a love story. People sell love stories like crazy today in the world. People love a good love story. Ruth is a love story, no doubt. Check that out. Jesus, the greatest love story. Neely shared the verse there in Jesus' ministry. No greater love than that, laying down your life for another. And then Paul, who we began to study before our meetings were ended in person due to this situation we're in now. So we started talking about how Paul and how important he was to Christianity and how he spread the gospel from not just the Jewish people, but to the Gentiles, okay? I'm going to go with a little side route. I want to share with you a little Bible, and I'll tell you why in just a second, okay? But I want to share with you maybe somebody that's not so well known in the Bible. Probably I was 12 or 13 years old. A preacher had came to church. He was a missionary. And he opened up his sermon with this story, all right? He started talking about it. He said it was 1988, and you go to Death Valley in Clemson, and Florida State was about to play Clemson. And Florida State had a freshman cornerback. Now, freshman, he was a freshman at the time. His name was Deion Sanders, become one of the greatest athletes of all time. But he walks down in front of 85,000 screaming Clemson fans. And at a Clemson football game, the football team walks down this ramp down into the stadium. So Deion Sanders walks out into the middle of the end zone, and he looks up at the Clemson football team and kind of motions them to come on down to the field. So, of course, when he's starting the story out as a 12, 13-year-old sports enthusiast, I'm just on the edge of the pew like, oh, man, I've never heard a preacher start a message out like this. And he said, well, there's somebody kind of in the Bible, or somebody in the Bible, kind of maybe possibly like Deion Sanders, but way, way more great. And so I'm thinking, well, I mean, I'm not questioning the greatness of somebody in the Bible, being greater than Deion Sanders. I'm not idolizing Deion Sanders to that point, but I'm thinking, who is he about to preach about? Is he about to preach about Jesus? Is he about to preach about Paul? Is he about to preach about one of the disciples? And so he tells us to flip back to 2 Samuel chapter 23, and he starts reading in verse 8, okay? And the reason I chose this was because, I was sitting there thinking about some main character that I'd read about in the Bible. And come to find out, this is one of the first times that I heard this story. I've looked at it a lot since then. But in 2 Samuel chapter 23, starts in verse 8. It says, these be the names of the mighty men whom David had, the Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adino the Eznite. All right? So Adino the Eznite was the man that he was talking about. He lifted up his spear against 800 whom he slew at one time. So he went into his message and he said, I imagine Adino the Eznite probably went before these 800 men and said, y'all boys ready? Come on. And just like the story in the Bible, he killed 800 men. Well, the story of Deion Sanders there, it wouldn't have been quite as powerful if he wouldn't have won the football game, which they did. But then you have this man, he talks about a great warrior, Adino the Eznite, and how he killed 800 men by himself with a spear. So my point is, you read the Bible, you hear about, there's stories that you hear your entire life in church, and people that doesn't even attend church, they hear some of these stories. Great stories, great people, but I challenge you every week to get in your Bible and read your Bible. And you might stumble upon stories such as this. Just, I guess, a little not as well known as some of these big names, I guess you say, that people hear. But people love stories. Anywhere you turn in the Bible, there's a story with meaning, and it has a purpose. Just like the stories that the people that you all shared tonight, they all have a purpose. They all have something that can apply to our life. And then, you also have twists in there that make it enjoyable to read, and that has stuck with me for like 20 years, okay, when that preacher introduced this story. So, again, thank you for sharing tonight. Again, challenge, get in your Bible, read, grow stronger. You got plenty of time right now, okay, right now. And lastly, before I forget, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, we will have a drive-in service. So it was really neat this past Sunday. If you didn't make it, try to make it this Sunday. We sat in our cars, we pulled around in the parking lot, had great weather, a great message there in the parking lot between the fellowship hall and the church. So if I don't see you Sunday, then I guess I'll see you back on here next Wednesday night. So stay safe. See you later.